Good morning, afternoon, evening to all you New Jungle Podcast listeners. I am your host, Garrett. Sorry I look like crap today. I'm just kind of closing up for the day, and I want to apologize for not recording in such a long time, but I'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to shout out Q on Twitter. He's at Q underscore the underscore rocker. Makes great music. Check his band out. Rainbow Death Rocket album Crazy Sane on Spotify. Makes great music. No sponsors at all. I just want to shout him out because he's a great guy, great Bengals fan supporter. Amazing guy. Just go listen. Crazy Sane on Spotify by Rainbow Death Rocket. If you like rock, if you like any type of music, don't judge anybody's music choice or what they make. Go listen to it. Stop listening to me talk about it. Listen to it, and then come back and listen to this new episode of the New Jungle Podcast. But I want to thank the Bangalorean for having me on his podcast. I hate listening to myself, but I sat through it, and it was a really good podcast. You guys need to go check it out. The new episode of the Your Stripes podcast over on the Bangaloreans podcast. Sorry, so many shout outs. But my final shout out is to all you guys. I really appreciate everybody sticking with me and kind of waiting for another upload, because I know I've been kind of spotty on uploads. I said in the first episode, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go one episode a week. It's gonna be like an hour long, and life happens. So hopefully I'll get back to a normal schedule. I'll let you guys know when uploads are gonna come out. I'll probably get to a lot more weekly, so it's not, oh, new Jungle Podcast posted another podcast. This is crazy. It's not something where you're like, oh, unexpected. It's gonna be something where you're expecting it. But I wanted to give a shout out to you guys for sticking with me, because life really does get to you, and sometimes you kind of gotta get up and get through the day and put on a happy face. And if you haven't heard this before, you are loved and appreciated, and anything that life gives you, you can do it. You can always get through, and it is something that I get up and try to tell myself every day. And sometimes life gets really hard, and I can't tell you guys enough how much I appreciate you, and being able to see how much support I get on the channel every day. Channel, podcast, everything. It's great. I really do appreciate it, and we're officially on the up and up. So at least on the podcast. So sorry for getting kind of sentimental, and yeah. So thank you. But enough about that. Enough about me. We're going to talk about our favorite team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's go. Training camp has been going on. Padded practices have been going on. Let's talk about it. I was fortunate enough to go to Back Together Saturday. I loved it. It was great. I mean, I've been to Family Day before, but that was Family Day on steroids. It was fucking awesome. And I want to say it's been incredible seeing how much more together this team looks, and how much they all shout each other out. And like, I'll listen to press conferences on Cincinnati Bengals Talk where James Rapine, shout out James Rapine. This is an official invite for James Rapine and Jake Lisco to come on and talk Cincinnati Bengals. So anybody, go shout them out right now. Go yell at them and be like, hey, go on New Jungle Podcast. But I have a lot to say about this team, and how much they this is the first year in a while that I feel like this team is truly all on the same page. And it's not even the first preseason game. I mean, I watched the Hall of Fame game, and that shit sucked. I was like, oh my God, I'm ready for Bengals football. I don't want to watch Dallas and Pittsburgh anymore. Give me the fucking Bengals and these dope ass new stripes. I want it. And I'm like, I want to see how the team does as a unit and not its little individual units, because we have all the team drills and stuff. And like for the first couple padded practices, I was concerned, not sounding the panic alarm, but I mean, I was a little bit like, guys, top five receiver core in the league. One of the, I think one of the top 15, top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Um, top half offense potential. What's going on? And luckily through over Saturday, Joe had his first conference where it was not live streamed, and I was a little concerned about that. I'm like, I wonder if he was like, I don't want this shit out right now. I want to be able to answer questions and not have to worry about the live stream. But he was like, yeah, I'm still kind of, it's, he says it's all mental for him, and I believe it, because I mean, I feel like he just had to get over that mental hump from Friday going into Saturday, and he absolutely killed it on Saturday. Killed it. I'm forgetting what the stats were. I'll try to find it, but it'll take too long. It was something like 9 for 10, but 9 for 11 on a touchdown run. And then he had a sweet 3rd and 15 conversion to Jamar Chase, and perfect ball placement, elite ball placement, if I may say so. And it was a really good throw to T. Higgins on I think it was an out route for like 29-ish yards. But I mean, come on. He is like, something had to have clicked. Like he must have woken up that Saturday like out for blood, because it was scary to watch, scary in a good way, because I was, it made me go from like concerned to excited, anxious. I'm like, oh, this is where it is. This is like, it was handed to me on it. Sorry, I like doing stuff with my hands, and it's just, but it's like handed to me on a silver platter, and I'm like, it's right there. And it's but for all of you that who just heard me say sorry about, I have a chip clip on my fingers, and I like to do things with my hands and everything. But if you don't understand it, go watch it on the New Jungle Podcast YouTube channel, and maybe you'll understand the joke. But people who do watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So it was very relieving. And not saying that the defense playing really well in those first few padded practices and them showing out during like padless practice, and kind of, I call them walkthroughs, even though they're not walkthroughs, because they're still sweating their ass off and playing their ass off. But like, it's not the same. It's not the same. I mean, Joe looked great in some of the film that I got to see, and highlights that I got to see through Twitter on Saturday and on Sunday. He threw a great ball to T. Higgins on Sunday. It was incredible. Just perfect fade. Did I say T. Higgins? It was Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd got his feet down. Sorry, that feels disrespectful. Tyler got his feet down, and he was like, I just got my feet. It was a great highlight, and it's been all over my feed all day, from like PFF to Pro Football Focus. That is what PFF is. I think it was Pro Football Talk, or something, where everybody's talking, everybody showed it. And it's just, this team feels different. Something's different. And I think we can all kind of feel that too. And not to keep reiterating what I've been saying since the beginning of this podcast, but this year is different. I feel like, just purely based off of practice. And usually you don't really get that feel. You kind of like, at some moments you kind of hype it up for yourself, and you're like, oh, it's going to be a different year, new me. It kind of feels like every New Year's when you make yourself a New Year's resolution that you don't last until February. But it's like, it feels different. Something's clicking that wasn't clicking before. Something was happening that wasn't happening before. And I'm not sure I can put a finger on it yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not showing up, because it is showing up now. I think after Saturday, when Joe's like, I don't, it's not an exact quote, but it was, I stopped talking to people outside of football. And that showed, like, I saw the fire in his eyes, and he was pissed at himself. He was like, he was like, the frustration, or somebody asked about the frustration level for him right now and not performing, and he's like, it's up there. I'm like, I'm sure, because I mean, he did not look like himself. He did not look like the number one pick that we got him for. Not saying that he is going to be the worst quarterback on earth, because he's absolutely not going. That's not is what I'm saying. He needed to get through a injury, and I feel like he was tired. I think that he needed the 2 days off that he took on Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday, or maybe Thursday, Friday, something like that. I think Wednesday, Thursday. But he needed it, because you could tell that something was off, and I think it was his body being drained, and he needed it. And now he's getting back into the field. He's like, I need to feel the pressure. I need people around me. I need to feel like I'm getting ready to tackle. As soon as I get that first tackle, as soon as I get this, that, and the other thing, he wants to get hit again, which scares the living shit out of me. But it's something that he needs to get mentally for him to go back and be able to feel the pace of the game again, for it to slow down. Because he admitted, he's like, the game is faster for me right now. It's not slowed down as it usually is. And I really think that it's all mental, because he's going through rehab. He is so far earlier, or I'm not sure how to word this. He surpassed his projections for when he should be playing. We were worried about whether or not he was going to play in game 1. And now he's ready to go in preseason. We're not going to let him go in preseason, but like, I mean, he is thinking to himself, I'm ready to go by preseason. I want to play. But it's confirmed by Zach Taylor. It was said by Brian Callahan yesterday, confirmed today, not playing in preseason game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays in game 3, because I mean, usually hold on one second. Sorry, muted myself, excuse me. I it was I think he needs it. He needs that to feel that pressure again, but I don't think it needs to be in the first 2 games. I think that he should sit the first game for sure. Not even a question. I don't want him out for a single snap in Washington at all. No flashbacks. I don't want it. I don't want it. But 3rd game, I feel like it would be smart ish. I'm not sure. I think it would be good. He's saying it would be good for him to get out in the first drive. And I think it would be good in a certain aspect of it, where he could go out, feel the pace of the game again, get out to go, maybe get a drive in, hopefully score a touchdown. Hopefully he gets something like that in. But then again, the protective side of me is like, don't even let him get within 10 feet of a football field, don't let him go out there and risk the possibility of a meaningless injury, or an injury in a meaningless preseason game. That being said, not my decision. Do you see me in a Bengals uniform saying, oh, I'm making the decisions on XYZ? I'm not. This is purely opinion and what I think I feel should happen. But I think for a franchise quarterback, at some point you kind of have to listen and you kind of have to be like, okay, if you're the face of the franchise, you're going to be here for hopefully a really long time. Wouldn't you want him to come back and be like, be ready, come out here, be ready to play, especially on September 12th, because I want to win these first 3 games. I'm going to go and look this up. First 3 games, Minnesota, Chicago, Pittsburgh. I want those 3 games to be wins off the bat, no matter what. Like almost no excuses. And I think that a lot of us are on that train. But to be able to get to that point, we need the face of the franchise. Sorry. Once again, go watch and see me smack my desk with my knee. Watch on the New Jungle Podcast YouTube channel. Try to get those views up. Let's see if we can get to 100 views on the first. I know I haven't even gotten to 100 listens on a podcast yet, but let's see if we can get to 100 views. Go like and retweet this. I'm going to continue to self-promote. I know I sound like a total Jack, but I mean, like, no offense to any person named Jack out there. I know a lot of Jacks that are lovely. That's not what I meant, but go like retweet this, send it out, shout it out. Let's get this podcast blown up. Let's get this to the number. I want this to be the number 1 fan podcast in Bengals sphere. I want this to be the number 1 Bengals fan podcast. Let's see if we can get to that by the end of this season. But anyway, I want this guy, Joe Burrow, to win these 3 games. I don't want it to have to be the defense like it was in a couple games the past couple years because our offense wasn't rolling. And I don't think it was necessarily last year because last year our defense was losing us games more than it was winning. I don't think our defense won us any games last year. Well, I guess maybe you could say the Pittsburgh game. But I mean, there are games where I want Joe to throw for like 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I want it to just be like a light show. I want it to be a fireworks show of just highlights and highlights and highlights. I want him to be able to do that and to be able to feel that and win these first games by 1.5 million points. He needs to feel like he needs to feel like he was last year and the year before that in college. And something needs to happen. I'm not sure what they're going to decide, but I digress. I think it should happen. I think something needs to go and they need to make a decision to try to get the face of the franchise back in 100% working order, which is a lot to ask for from somebody coming off such a damaged knee. And God, I hate having to talk about it and listen to it so much, but I mean, it's hard not to acknowledge, especially with somebody who hasn't still gotten over it mentally. And it is sad to see, but I mean, something needs to happen to be able to go out there and win these first 3 games and even the 4th. Because I mean, if I go to a losing home game against the Jaguars, I think I'll quit this podcast. No, not happening. I'm not going to quit the podcast if the Bengals lose on Thursday night. But I'll be very upset. I think something needs to happen, but I do think we have a really good fighting chance for these first 6 games, even against the Packers. I mean, they brought back Aaron Rodgers. He's there for the whole year. Luckily, we only have to play him once. But I mean, first 6 games, I talk about it a lot. They're so winnable. And I'm not going to say they're wins in the bag after. That's not what I'm saying. I'm looking at this and I know like people who are watching this are like, what are you looking at? My second monitor is above my camera, but it's something that we need to attack at the finest moments and be able to capitalize when we have the ability to capitalize. Because there is not a lot of breathing room in those last 5 weeks, even 6 if you count the Chargers. I mean, we go LA, San Francisco, Denver is an okay game, but then we go Baltimore, Kansas City, Cleveland. Those are all 3 playoff teams last year. And I can guarantee you at least 2 of them are going to be playoff teams this year. It's something that, if not 3 of them are going to be playoff teams again, it's something that we need to capitalize when we have the ability to capitalize. Not saying that we're going to lose the last 6 games. I'm not saying that. I think we still have the ability to win some of the games, but we need to capitalize when we have the ability to. Like we have running through this, running through the schedule really quick. We go Minnesota, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, first 4 weeks. I think we have the ability to start off really strong in those first 4 games. Then we go Green Bay, Detroit, Baltimore, New York Jets. And we also have an ability to start off really good there in those first 8 games. And then it goes and then our last game before the bye week is Cleveland. Sorry, one more second. Excuse me. I am just not having a great night. Anyway, and then after the bye week, we go LA, Pittsburgh, or Las Vegas, sorry, Pittsburgh, LA Chargers, San Francisco. That is a hard, not saying that we're going to lose those 4 games once again, and then we go straight into the last 6 weeks of the season. I mean, we have a hard back half of the schedule. We need to capitalize when we have some pretty good available games where we can capitalize. We need to. It just has to happen. And whether or not we're winning by 20 or winning by 2, we need to win games. It needs to be, and I feel like that's one thing going into this year that I'm really excited to see is, are we going to win those close games? Because we haven't these last 2 seasons with Zach Taylor, unfortunately. I can admit now I've kind of been wishy-washy, and I want to come out with this as an official statement. I am on Zach Taylor train. I want to be able to go and say that I support him fully. It's something that I want to do. It's something that I want to be behind the team no matter what. I want to be able to go and say, hey, I'm behind this team, win or lose, all the time, because I feel like that's the only way to be able to get wins as a fan base. Because there's not much more we can do. We can't have divisiveness in our fan base. It's really hard to have half of a fan base who isn't cheering in the stands because they don't like somebody. I mean, you kind of have to, he's the head coach this year. Whether or not you like him, you have to kind of accept it. And you cannot like him for whatever reasons you may have, but he's our head coach. And if you're wanting to win games, like you're saying, if you're wanting to go out there and have such an amazing year and be able to go to the playoffs and have a Super Bowl run, we as a fan base, and this isn't a call out to anyone, I'm not saying this at anybody, this is just a general blanket statement. We as a fan base need to all gather around Zach and this team. And I'm on the Zach train, and I feel like we all should, for at least this 2021 and 2022 season. And then after that, let's let the cards fall where they may. So that's my rant about Joe Burrow and the schedule and what I think we need to do for our best opportunity to win games. This kind of my first segment, you can say, but that's just what I think we need to do as a team, is capitalize early and make sure that Joe is ready for this season. And it could be 13 different, there could be 13 different ways to do that. And I'm not an NFL GM, or I'm not an NFL front office member. I don't do that stuff. But I mean, let's start to I want to start jumping on some stuff soon. But all right. In between segments, I want to show you guys who are watching right now what I made when I was a little kid. It's a little Bengals ceramic helmet. I keep some stuff in it, and I wanted to just kind of found it a while ago. I just wanted to show you what it was. So good little random thing there, Garrett. But that'll be the picture. We can take a screenshot of that, and that'll be one of the pictures I put on Twitter. Hold on one second. Sorry, that took so long. Oh crap, no, what did I do? No. Oh lordy. um oh gosh. Oh, I am messing this up so much. Oh geez. Oh god. Okay. Anyway, hold on. Hold on a minute. Let's just whoa. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna work on this while we're while we're talking, but so I wanted to talk about the next segment. This is the most random. Oh, I fixed it. This is the most random podcast we're gonna get. I've been all over the place tonight, but I'm glad you guys enjoy the content. Back to let me take a screenshot one more time, but I'm gonna continue to talk. It's just so this year is so different, and I want to talk a little bit because another big part of it being different is the defense. They've come out here and shown what it is to be an NFL caliber top half defense. I mean, you talk about, you heard Zach, if you've listened to the Zach Taylor presser yesterday, I think it was on Saturday, he was talking about how we're deep basically everywhere and he's talking about how like the fourth and fifth and sixth string guys, at least in the secondary, look great. I mean, he shouted out Eli Apple and Ricardo Allen, I think it was, and they're like, yeah, they look great. And then you think about who we have as our starters. We have Jesse Bates, Von Bell, Trey Waynes, Darius Phillips, Chidobe Awuzie, Mike Hilton. We've got guys who are incredible when you look at it. It's and not even looking at it as a Bengals fan, you just look at it as an NFL like not necessarily connoisseur, but just somebody who watches the NFL and understands what it is to be like a football team and an NFL team. That's a good ass secondary right there. And when you think about who we have on the defensive line, unfortunately, however, the linebackers did have a loss at their position group. Marcus Bailey was carted off the field. The first person to get carted off this training camp. Hopefully it's nothing major. Prayers out to him. Yeah, but this defense looks so much better. Everybody's talking about how the linebackers, Jermaine Pratt is a step ahead of what everybody thought he was going to be this year, and they thought that he was going to take a big step. I mean, Logan Wilson looks great. Akeem Davis Gaither is apparently been getting good reviews. Joseph Osai had a great play, but he touched Joe Burrow, which got him an earful from the coaches and DJ Reader, and I'm sure other people as well. But I mean, he's going out there, he's being aggressive, and I said on the Bangalorian podcast, I was like, hey, he's going to be somebody who's going to come out here and work his ass off. He's said it before, and it's just something that I'm so excited for. And I think because a lot of last year's games that were lost, it was, I want to say mostly because of the defense. I mean, when you look at the Indianapolis game, you could be like, oh, Joe Burrow threw the pick, but I mean, would that opportunity to throw a pick, would that have been necessary if the defense would have held up, And granted, Jesse Bates did have that great interception, to put Joe Burrow in the place to go down the field and march and score and be the hero. But sorry, I need to mute myself again. Geez, I'm sorry. Everybody who has to listen to so much shit tonight. Holy crap. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments on the Twitter, or um shout me out, DM me, do whatever, comment. Tell me what you think about me doing this by myself, because I feel like I'm a lot more contained when I'm with somebody, and this is just so different being by myself because nobody can stop me from talking. Anyway, I think a lot of the games last year that were lost were defense, because we were up 21-0 against Indianapolis. And then we lost. We lost. How do you lose from being up by 21? And I mean, when you look at the Falcons, they've been up more. Super Bowl. But anyway, I mean, like, it's really, really, really frustrating, going out there and being like, oh, the defense is going to screw this up again, like they did in the Cleveland game, the second Cleveland game. I mean, you need to go out there as a team and as a unit, as a defensive unit, and capitalize. And I feel like that has changed. And Von Bell said that in his presser. He was like, I don't remember the exact quote at all, but for me, it feels like the way he talked, everybody has a different perspective, because there was a lot of I think there was a lot of people who weren't on the same page and who weren't necessarily doing everything the way that everybody thought it should get done. And I feel like we all knew that as a fan base a little bit. We didn't really get the glimpse inside as much as we possibly could have. But I mean, there's just a lot of stuff where it's clicking where it didn't last year. And I'm really, really, really excited. But one final thing before I go, before we wrap this up, I want to give an update on special teams. Evan McPherson has the swagger. Evan McPherson has so much swagger. I mean, he looks like Justin Tucker out there. I talked about Back Together Saturday, and you look at clips and it was like Evan McPherson drills 60-yarder, and I don't remember whether or not he made it. I was at a bad angle. I couldn't see, and I need to wear my glasses inside stadiums anyway, but I mean, he's been on fire. I think at one point he was like 19 for 21 in camp, which, I mean, it's camp. It's a lot different in real life, but I mean, at this point, I think it's his job to lose. I think he has it. I think he has a swagger. I think he has the mindset. I think he definitely has the leg for it. That kick for a 60-yarder definitely had the length. It absolutely had the length. But I can't remember if it was wide left or not. Anyway, so that's just something that I really think we kind of talk about how there's a kicking battle, but I think it's Evan McPherson's job to lose now. Now whether or not I'm wrong, who's to say? Because I'm not in the Bengals front office. I continue to say this, and we all know that, but I mean, it's his job to lose, in my opinion. And especially when you draft a kicker in the 5th round, it's really your job to lose. I mean, you've got to be really bullish on a kicker to be able to draft him in the 5th round. And one of the more reasons, or all the more reason to have for it to be his job to lose. So a couple more random things. The offensive line, I've heard a lot of good things about Jackson Carman. I know he hasn't taken a lot of reps with the ones. He kind of got destroyed by, I can't remember who it was during during one-on-ones. Deontay Smith has shown a lot of good flashes. He got plastered by, I think, Sam Hubbard during camp one day. And but I mean, he started with a ones on Saturday or Sunday, and apparently he did a pretty decent job off of what I heard. And yeah, but I mean, there's still, I think, a little concern, at least for me, not to say that I'm like not, I don't think the offense is going to be good. I just still, I think I need to see it a couple more times. I think I need to see it in one or two more practices of the offense rolling, because we saw it in Saturday and Sunday. I just think we need to see it in Tuesday and Wednesday, or just Tuesday if they're really rolling. And then if Wednesday's an average practice, I want the offense to be so good. And I feel like we all have that expectation of this offense is going to be perfect and it's going to be the best offense in the league, which in reality is probably not going to be. Not saying that it doesn't have the potential to be a top 5 offense. I just don't, I don't think it's realistic to expect that. Purely based off of what we have, and not to say that we have a bad unit. I just think that's kind of an unfair expectation. And I don't really think that, that is in our realm of possibilities, at least this year. But I do expect us to be a very explosive offense. You know, it's something where it was a little concerning seeing 3 or 4 days of just, it felt like dull stop, like a stop. You know, it felt like nothing was clicking. And finally things started clicking. So I'm really happy about that. And I mean, the defense still looks good. God, I love this fucking team. Anyway, I'm going to end the podcast here. Once again, thank you guys so much for supporting me. I appreciate it beyond any bound that anyone will understand. Life does get tough and things happen, and unfortunately, you just have to get up every day, whether or not you want to or not, and kind of put your nose to the grindstone. So I appreciate you, everybody who listens, everybody who supports. Go like, retweet, comment, shout it out, send it to your friends, family, cousins, bosses, anyone. Go and spread the good word. Thank you once again, New Jungle Podcast listeners, and Hoo Day, and I will see you guys in the next episode.